Today, I wanted to talk about something special. Over the past few weeks, songs have been coming out by Weird Al Yankovic. And this is exposing a whole new generation of people to Weird Al. And it's baffling to me because I've been listening to Weird Al all my life. Now, let me tell you why that's important. I was in the third grade when I learned about the Food album. It was a compilation of all of Weird Al's songs that were about food, such as I Love Rocky Road and Eat It. Even though I was young, I got it. I loved it. I listened to it nonstop. And after that, I started collecting all of his older, I was going to say CDs, but cassette tapes. So I had all these cassettes of Weird Al. Early on, this music helped me connect with my dad. I remember specifically the song Beverly Hillbillies, which is a parody of Dire Straits' Money for Nothing. That was music that my dad listened to. So that song got me into Dire Straits and kind of the whole general arena of classic rock of that time. And I remember watching Beverly Hillbillies. It would be late at night, I couldn't sleep, I would go out to the living room and he'd be watching Nick at Night, and we would watch Beverly Hillbillies, and I sang that song. So in that way, it helped me connect with my dad when I was really young. I remember soon thereafter, we got a free weekend of the Disney Channel. And when you're a kid, that is awesome. And I remember there was a live concert from Weird Al. And I taped it on VHS, and I probably still have it. He came out in costumes, and every song was a performance. And I loved it. He came out with a parody of Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit. I didn't know about Nirvana. I was kind of too young to really be into that music. But it exposed me to that. And Nirvana has tons of classic songs now that I love. But would I love if I wasn't originally exposed to them via Weird Al? When the movie Jurassic Park came out, I was in 4th grade. His song Jurassic Park came out soon after that, so it was like it was summarizing what I was going through. It was summarizing those events that mattered in my childhood. So now cut to middle school. His album Running with Scissors came out. I loved every single song. And I remember when no one was home, I would perform like I was on stage doing those songs. Most people don't confess stuff like this, but I feel like we're in a safe environment. I listened to that album non-stop. I specifically remember The Saga Begins, which is a parody of American Pie by Don McLean. And it was about Star Wars. And Weird Al had done an earlier song about Star Wars called Yoda. And these songs were making me appreciate and be proud of those really nerdy things that I liked, but maybe weren't mainstream. Because things are different when you're a teenager, and maybe times were different back then, where now it's kind of cool to like those nerdy things. Back then it definitely wasn't. But The Saga Begins gave me that place, that validation. Also off that album was It's All About the Pentiums. And I remember watching the video premiere on TRL with Carson Daly. And I remember waiting for it to play, and at the very end of the episode it did, and it was mind-blowing. Still an amazing parody. When I was in high school, my small town of Shady Cove, Oregon, had a Spam festival. Don't ask questions. And I remember being in the Spam parade. And I walked down the street with a boombox, blaring Weird Al's Spam, which I first fell in love with back on his Food album when I was a kid. And I played that song on repeat as we walked down the street in the Spam parade. Very surreal when you look back and think about that. Now, a few years later, I'm out of college, I've graduated, I've moved to California. The album Straight Outta Linwood comes out with the single White and Nerdy. Still got it. That was a renaissance of Weird Al music for me. Everything came back. That song was genius. I remember literally being stuck in a Jack in the Box drive-thru, listening to the song Trapped in the Drive-Thru in Pomona, California. I remember vividly that moment. And now here we are. Mandatory Fun, his newest album, just came out, released #1 on the Billboard charts. It's incredible. And it's all these new people that are sharing the videos and saying this is hilarious. To me, I'm thinking, where have you been? I've been listening to his songs since 3rd grade, and I am much, much older now. He's been there through all, essentially, the monumental moments of my life. But now it's a new generation. It's easy for people to hit share, move on. But for me, it was an era of cassette tapes and then CDs, and I had to rebuy all the old ones on CD, and there were greatest hits albums, multiple greatest hits albums. So it's crazy to me that this is new to a lot of people. But here's what I love most. Each album by Weird Al is a self-contained time capsule, because it magically has the ability to take you back to another time. When I listen to Running with Scissors, I think about where I lived, who I was friends with, what those songs were about. When you listen to It's All About the Pentiums, that's what we were talking about. It was all megabytes, and the internet was like kind of suddenly blowing up. And it's crazy that that album takes you back there. When I listen to the Food album, I go back to 3rd grade in my bedroom and hearing that music for the first time, and hearing the parody and then looking back and realizing that that's a real song. You know, a lot of these songs, I know the parody better. It's an incredible phenomenon. When I put in Bad Hair Day and I listened to the track Amish Paradise, I remember the duplex where I lived with my mom at that time. And I remember listening to that song non-stop. It validated everything. It validated those nerdy things that I liked that maybe not a lot of people did. So it's crazy that for a lot of people, Weird Al is a new thing. But for me, it's 14 albums that are time capsules to different times in my life. And what I was, the songs that they were parodying were songs that were popular on the radio. The topics they covered were often things that were happening. The song Headline News taught me about the John Bobbitt case, which maybe when I was in 3rd grade was a little too young to be learning about that. But I'm excited for these new fans, because in 10 years, they can listen to Mandatory Fun and his parodies of Happy, Royals, all these new hits, and they're going to be flashed back to today. They're going to think about where they were now. Maybe they're in college, maybe they're in high school. This is their time capsule. They are creating a time capsule right now. What memories are they forming? They're going to be able to look back and it's going to remind them of now. That's crazy. Not many albums can do that. And not many artists stay relevant for 30 years. Some, but not many. Al Yankovic is incredible. He's an incredible lyricist. It's clever. It's witty. To take a song and perfectly recreate it, syllable for syllable. Amazing. It matches up perfectly. That takes a lot of skill. He is an artist. And the fact that he's now #1 on Billboard, it's about time. It's incredible. He well deserves it. So to Weird Al, this is a thank you. That you've created time capsules for my life. And I can look back, and your albums take me back to where I was, what I was doing, what was popular, what I was listening to. But even beyond that, relationships. Who was in my life at those times? It's an incredible skill. I don't really know a good way to end this video, but I guess the point I'm trying to say is thank you. And to all of Al's newest fans, you're in for a treat.